Guillotine, and yeah, just wanted to say that when the governor comes out and talks about outside agitators, and he claims that folks who are protesting are terrorists, and that it's being organized by white supremacists and organized criminal syndicates and shit, and what he does is delegitimizes the protesters and the things that they're fighting for, which is justice for George Floyd against the racist police, because folks don't have any power at the ballot box. We've seen over and over again that voting people does very little to nothing to create change, and of course they don't have any power at the hands and the guns of police, and so like it becomes what do you do? And I see destruction of private property as empowering, and I'm for expropriation of the means of subsistence, and it's a political act, right? Because of the white supremacist patriarchal capitalist system expropriating the means of subsistence during this time of coronavirus, when they're telling us we got to stay home but they don't provide us any social safety nets, ends up being a way to break the property relations of the capitalist system, and it's a legitimate political act, you know what I'm saying? And so don't let the governors and the police chiefs talk about what is justified and like mourning or not, because that's bullshit.
The police is surrounded? Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
You bring up a really good point. I'm sorry that what you were saying got cut off, because there is that huge divide right now in the narrative, and they're acting like everything that happened was delegitimized by one night,
right.
By one night of a few other buildings getting lit on fire. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up. Can you talk about, just real quick, what's your thoughts on how to combat that, in your opinion? Like, what is the specific thing you see with that, and then how to combat that?
How to combat the delegitimization of the movement via well, first of all, I think it's important to talk about, because you see the governor and you see the police leaders talking about violence and claiming, and you see it on the left too, like a lot of people claim that breaking windows is violent, but I think it's important to remember that there's nothing violent about breaking windows. We don't mourn over broken windows, we mourn over dead black bodies, and what's violent is the racist police terror and the constant killings and mass deaths that they commit, and even when they're not actually committing any violence, the threat of violence is always there. Even when they're like talking to you, it's like you better talk to them, otherwise you may get beat or killed. And so for the police to talk about breaking windows as violent or burning buildings as violent is extremely ironic, because their very existence is steeped in violence, because that's how they operate. And so I think like we gotta be able to get these ideas out there around, and I think people need to make the connection between like private property, and how it's connected to making the white supremacist patriarchal capitalist system operate, and fucking and because the white supremacist patriarchal capitalist system needs racism and it needs anti-Blackness in order to quell popular movements, and so it like thrives on violence on black bodies. Without violence on black bodies to other and to posit whiteness, the system would not be able to exist, because too many people would just be in an uprising. And so we need to be able to tear down civil society, because of how much and how pivotal anti-Blackness is to white civil society and to creating whiteness. And I think it's very ironic that the governor used that term so much. I'm a proponent of Frank Wilderson, who has Afro-pessimist theory. He talks about civil society and anti-Blackness, and how in order to prevent anti-Blackness, we don't just need a proletarian revolution, we need the complete destruction of civil society in its entirety, because of how central anti-Blackness is to civil society.
Thank you. You said you're a rapper?
Yeah, Lil Guillotine.
Plug where people can find your stuff.
Oh yeah, it's I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, Lil Guillotine. I'm LITL Guillotine on Instagram and Twitter. Otherwise, it's Lil Guillotine. Check out my YouTube. I'm doing some videos. Got a song called George Floyd I just made the other day.
Okay.
So, yeah,
and that's the one you were saying you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do the ending? Would that make sense?
Oh yeah. So it goes. The chorus is just like, no justice, no peace. And if we don't get it, gonna take it to the streets. No justice, no peace. And if we don't get it, gonna take it to the streets. And So yeah, I'm also in the bail fund in Madison, Wisconsin, Free the 350 bail fund, and you know, we've been raising a lot of people to free black people from the Dane County Jail down there, and so yeah, you know, it's really inspiring seeing all the support coming out for that, because we're going to be able to free a lot of black folks and eventually, you know, abolish the whole prison and jail system. So yeah, here's the last verse if I could.
Yep.
It goes, a system of profit with racism sprockets to move it along. Legitimate stoppage of anti-black bondage, expropriation. The stock on the shelf, it be fully engulfing the racist system. That's why when we take it, we making a statement, it's liberation. No justice, no peace. And if we don't get it, gotta take it to the streets.
Word.
And appreciate you, Neko.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for letting me spit too.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
Lil
it.
G team. Appreciate the thoughts. Peace.